Welcome back to World Crisis Radio, pushing ahead now. Do take a look at this article. Supplying troops in Afghanistan with fuel is challenged for the U.S. It is a logistical nightmare, and that whole question of encirclement, the Stalingrad question, is raised again. Stephen Mufson and Walter Pincus, Washington Post, December 15th. Now let's just change gears for a second. The Italians and the British have said that they will bring in some troops. Notice, however, this infamous attack on Berlusconi, where he is hit in the face by a large piece of metal and marble, I think it is. It's a souvenir object weighing, 5 or 10 pounds. Breaks his nose, breaks his teeth. What is going on there? We've always pointed out that Berlusconi, despite the slander campaigns against him, is the most interesting leader in Western Europe because he has at least some positive features. Merkel, Sarkozy, and Gordon Brown don't have any. But Berlusconi does. And above all, it's his friendship with Putin and the fact that Italy, with Eni, is now, the state oil company, ENI, is now an active participant in the Russian-sponsored South Stream pipeline, which is now gathering momentum. You've got the South Stream pipeline. Turkey and Italy are in it. France wants to join it. Croatia wants to join it. It is gathering strength. And this, of course, gives Russia the possibility of going around those pesky NATO puppet states, Ukraine and Poland, who have been acting as provocateurs, cutting off the gas, cutting off the oil. So notice that not just was Berlusconi attacked in this way, but some guy showed up in his hospital room in Milan this morning saying he wanted to talk to him. Well, talk to him. Interesting speech by Fabrizio Cicchito, now a member of Berlusconi's political party, in the Italian parliament. He says that there's a slander campaign against Berlusconi carried out by media thugs and hacks, Travaglio and Santoro, and the combination of La Repubblica, the Rome Daily, and Espresso, the weekly news magazine. And, of course, what is being aimed at here is the British fifth column inside Italy. I would point in particular to the fact that this attack journalist, Travaglio, he's a character assassin and hate monger. Travaglio, who has been on Berlusconi's case for many years, is a disciple of Indro Montanelli. Montanelli being a great British asset in Italy in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, extreme reactionary, pro-British. And what Montanelli did was the character assassination of Enrico Mattei, the head of Eni, the founder of it, who wanted to make development deals with the Arab countries, with Algeria, with Libya, with Egypt, and many others, and was giving the Anglo-American Seven Sisters oil cartel a hard time. In the middle of that, of course, Montanelli launched a huge press campaign of defamation, character assassination against Mattei, so that then when Mattei's jet was blown up by the CIA, because there's no doubt that that's what was done, that there was a climate of opinion where people said, well, he got what he deserved. Is it now the case that the disciple of Indro Montanelli, this Travaglio, who's around today, actually representing a new phase, a character assassination against Berlusconi, designed to prepare something of the same thing now for Berlusconi? And again, we don't care about what he does with women. We don't care about this stuff. Everybody's corrupt in this fallen world. The problem is that he's a friend of Putin. He's in on the South Stream pipeline. And you also have this Tremonti, the finance minister, one of his right-hand men, who is interested in building huge infrastructure projects across Europe, which would be the surest way to get to an economic revival. Obama is under some kind of pressure himself, right? The two party crashers, right? This story that has been made into a joke, right? The two characters who came in at the state dinner from Manmohan Singh. Now there's another case of people walking into a meeting with Obama. I guess these are warnings, right, to Obama that what happened to Berlusconi could happen to him too, and I think that's very dangerous. All of these people would be well advised to look to their security. Let's also point out the U.S. has now attacked another country. Right? We've talked about the U.S. attacking Pakistan. That's clearly the top of the list. There's also the implication of the U.S. in Uzbekistan with Blackwater, CIA, Joint Special Operations Command, and others. And now you've got the U.S. attacking Yemen. The news story is the Houthi rebels, H-O-W-T-H-I, sometimes H-A-U-T-H-I, I think, depends on how you spell it. These are Shiite rebels in the south of Yemen, and they want national independence. The south of Yemen is the part that has the oil. They are Shiites. The government in northern Yemen is under the control, I believe, more of Sunnis, and above all, the national government of Yemen is allied to Saudi Arabia. These Houthi rebels are allied to Iran. The news is U.S. air attacks have hit emplacements of these Houthi rebels, killing 120 dead. That is at least the charge made by the Houthi rebels. So this is now, I think, an attempt to get this conflict going that we've talked about in the past, in recent weeks and months. If you can get the Saudis into this on one side and the Iranians in on the other, you can successfully play Saudi Arabia against Iran. You get a war in the Gulf. The price of oil goes to $500, and the dollar is saved. And I suppose these green ghouls in Copenhagen will be happy, because if oil goes to 500, then their crazy wind farms and windmills and solar cells become economical in the context of a general breakdown of world civilization. Notice also Admiral Mullen is now in Pakistan to blackmail and threaten the Pakistani government, Zardari, the president, Gilani, the prime minister, and the Pakistani military. It's Mullen's 14th trip to Pakistan. I think that's clearly the country that he has visited the most. It's billed as an attempt to reset the situation with Pakistan, but in reality, to deliver threats. Now, there's been a suicide attack in Kabul in the government compound area, killing 8. This is likely what's going to happen now. The winter has set in. Operations in the mountains are not really feasible on large scale. So I think the general intelligence picture is that the forces, whatever they are, right, be they Taliban, be they Al-Qaeda, if non-existent except for U.S. assets, or Blackwater, they will carry out bombings in Kabul to keep things going. Then in the springtime, you'll get the big conflict ginned up. By next summer, you will begin to see the harvest of death as the body bags begin to come home. And that's when you're going to have a political crisis in the U.S., right on the eve of those next elections. So remember, the demands have to be immediate ceasefire. You can have that any day of the week. All U.S. and NATO forces out of Afghanistan. Stop the Predator drone attacks in Pakistan. Stop and everywhere else, and stop covert operations in Pakistan and Iran, as well as in Afghanistan. And you've got to have anti-war congressional candidates forming now, and you've got to be ready to have an anti-war primary challenge to Obama in the Democratic Party. And if that's not enough, you've got to have a third party, which obviously has to go beyond simply questions of war and peace to embrace economics in a sensible way. And that will, of course, mean that you can't seriously contend for power or expect to do anything if you've got this green insanity, the Malthusian monstrosity of Copenhagen and global warming and Al Gore. That will obviously guarantee the defeat of any challenge. So there's got to be a serious discussion about economics. Now, economics. Wholesale inflation has now gone up by 1.8% in November. That's quite a big jump from anything over the period now since the beginning of the crisis in the grand scale back in September. So that indicates that there may be pressure on the Federal Reserve soon to raise interest rates. Also, they'll have to think about raising interest rates to save the dollar. And, of course, once they begin to raise interest rates, then the dollar carry trade and the entire speculative bubble that has been built around 0% lending here, just on the Japanese model, will probably come to an end. So that holds out the possibility that we're going to go into a hyperinflationary phase, and this seems to be the first inklings of that. We'll be back with our second hour.